one of my secret epics was, I mean, I've had quite a few of them, like near misses. But one of them, I was climbing El Cap for the first time with a good friend of mine, Chris Purnell, who's actually not around anymore. And he was a really good teacher, sort of, but not really. He would teach me things like, we're going to learn how to do a Tyrolean traverse. So you hook your daisy chain on and just jump off onto the line, stuff like that, right? So we're up on this, my first wall ever, and he wanted to do it in November, which is kind of late, it turns out, to do El Cap if you want to avoid being cold up there. Usually people do it a little earlier than that. But I was just psyched to go up there at all. And his one rule was that you can't complain, right? So I'm like, oh, that's fine. Like, what? There's not going to be much to complain about. We're going to have a really good time, right? Like, I've never climbed a wall. I'm really excited, you know, as you would be to climb El Cap for your first time. And so we set off. We were going to do it in 2 days. So we brought enough stuff for 2 days. We stay the night at the base. And I remember that first night, actually, we built a little fire at the base. And I took my socks off to dry them off, you know, just to make sure they were all nice and warm and toasty. And proceeded to burn a hole in them. So I started off like with burned holes in my socks. And I remember in the middle of the night getting woken up with a ring-tailed cat jumping over my head because he had told me that we didn't want our food to get stolen, right? And we didn't hang it in the tree. We decided that I should sleep with it under my head, right? So the ringtail's like jumping over my head, and there was another one like trying to yank it out from underneath me, and I'm like, what is going on, right? So I got no sleep the first night, and then we wake up the next morning after I maybe got like, I don't know, a little bit of sleep, ready to climb the wall, start heading up, get up about, you know, to where we sort of wanted to be. We were looking for this ledge to sleep on because we didn't bring a porta-ledge. We were going to go light and fast because we were doing it in 2 days, and I have never climbed a wall, so I was just doing whatever he told me to do. So we get up there, we're looking for this ledge, and it's dark already, right? And so we can't find the ledge that we're looking for, but we found this thing called the Pillar of Despair is what we ended up on. So we're like, well, we'll just sleep on this little teeny thing called the Pillar of Despair. So he sat on top of this little thing. It's just like a little teeny pillar thing. And so he sat on top, and I kind of like was on the side of it, just kind of, you know, with one foot. There was like this little rock to the side where I could put one foot out, and my butt was on one side and my foot was on the other, and so I was kind of sort of chimneyed in between these two things, you know, sleeping in my harness. And then eventually throughout the night I would like slooch down into my harness and wake up like getting, you know, pinched by my harness and being super uncomfortable. And so I didn't really get that much sleep that night either, obviously, because I kept waking up like really uncomfortable. And then we woke up to it, you know, a little bit of snow coming down. We're like, uh-oh, this isn't good. Like, maybe we should either go down or figure out something. And he's like, and I haven't complained yet, right? I'm like, oh, this is fine. I love sleeping in my harness. This is awesome. And so then we decided to actually just go a little bit higher and look for the ledge that we hadn't found the night before. So we go up a little bit higher, and we actually found the ledge that we had been looking for. And it was this little teeny ledge that was big enough for one person, and then this slot that was big enough for me to sort of get in sideways and sleep in this little teeny slot, right? And we did have a rain fly, so we put the fly over us and decided to hunker in to see if the storm would pass, right? And we only had 2 days of food, right? So this is going on to our second day, and it's snowing now. And so we're in this awesome little situation inside our bivy sack, drinking our one beer that we had and eating the rest of our food, basically. I don't know what we were thinking, but it proceeds to start snowing heavier, and it ended up snowing about 2 feet of snow, like during that day and throughout that night. And so we're stuck on this ledge. It's getting pretty cold. I'm in my mom's old square sleeping bag because I didn't really have gear back then. You know, I wasn't sponsored back then, just was starting out. And so I had borrowed an old square, like one of those old camping sleeping bags from my mom. And all the stuffing was creeping down towards my feet throughout the night, you know, and I was like yanking the stuffing, trying to get it to come back up to the top. And meanwhile, like, it's snowing and snowing and snowing, just dumping, and water, because the wall had been warm during the day, so water starts coming down the wall and filling up my nice little, I ended up calling it like my sardine can. So I was like in this little slot, getting filled with water in this sleeping bag that has no stuffing because it's all like down by my feet. It's getting pretty cold. I'm in cotton pants, of course, because that's what you wear when you're in Yosemite. I think I had a pair of long underwear on though. That was good. I had holes in my socks. And I couldn't complain, right? And we had basically no food anymore, so it wasn't awesome. And I kept asking my partner if we could switch spots, because he was on this ledge that wasn't wet, you know? And I was like, he looks so much warmer. I'm like, this is so awesome in this little slot. We should switch maybe. It would be fun, like, just to see what's different, you know? And he's like, oh, no, no, I'm good, you know? And then, like, midway through, like, this is our, second night or whatever, an avalanche let loose from up above and hit him like pretty hard. I mean, it was like, I don't know how much snow, but it definitely knocked the wind out of him. And, you know, he dumps it off of himself and he's like, all right, I'll switch now. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, nah, I think I'm good now. So then the next day, so we stay in our little spots and I freeze, you know, curled up like in my slot going, okay, I can't wait till this is over. Wake up the next day, it's still snowing, our ropes are completely frozen, and we're like, okay, we got to get out of here. Like, this isn't good. Search and rescue came by and they're yelling at us through their megaphone like, do you need a rescue? We were one of 2 parties up on El Cap at the time. Like, no, why would you go up there? It's going to be storming, right? But I hadn't looked at the weather. I was just climbing El Cap for my first time. And like, so then we're like, okay, we got to get out of here. I mean, this is not good. I can't sleep up here. We have no food. It's not good. So, of course, my partner yells down like, hell no, we don't need a rescue. And I'm like, well, maybe we do. We might need a rescue. So the search and rescue left us. So we were on our own. And so we go out and the lines are completely frozen, like just big old hunks of ice, like they didn't look like ropes anymore. So we're like trying to break the ice off to get the ropes free and finally get it all free, and we start going down, and my partner wouldn't let me tie knots in the end of the ropes, which I don't suggest for anyone wrapping off of El Cap with a haul bag in between their legs when they weigh 90 pounds, because I think I weighed about 90 pounds back then. And so we made it down. So it wasn't, obviously I'm here, but I would have to say that was one of the most epic experiences I've ever had.
For free films and exclusive invites, join our email list at filmfestivalflix.com/email and follow us on social media with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In your home or on the go, we bring the festival to you.